We are graphing simple rational functions, and in this case, we're talking about the form f of x equals a times x plus b divided by c times x plus d. So we still have to calculate the vertical and horizontal asymptote, and the vertical asymptote is still calculated by setting the denominator equal to 0, and the horizontal asymptote is calculated by taking the lead coefficient of the x variable from the numerator and dividing it by the denominator, and then that will be the horizontal asymptote. So we can calculate the vertical asymptote by taking whatever is in the denominator and setting it equal to 0. So x plus 3 equals 0, and so we can subtract 3 from both sides, and then we get x equals -3 as our vertical asymptote. And then for our horizontal asymptote, that is the fraction whatever a divided by c is, and that is going to be our lead coefficients here, which in this case is going to be y equals 1 divided by 1, which is equal to 1. So our horizontal asymptote is y equals 1. So we can graph these two, and we're counting by 2's here. So our horizontal asymptote will be right here at y equals 1. And our vertical asymptote will be at x equals -3. So here we have x equals -3, and here we have y equals 1. Then we have to get an idea of what some good points would be to pick, and we want to pick on either side of the vertical asymptote here. And so we want to pick some values that are to the right, and so we can pick -2, we can pick -2, we can pick 1, or let's pick 0 and 1. So -2, if I substitute that in, that gives me -3 in the numerator and gives me 1 in the denominator. So that becomes -3. If we substitute in 0, both the x's drop out, and we get -1 divided by 3, which is -1/3. And if we substitute 1 in the numerator, 1 minus 1 is 0, so that just gives us a value of 0. So now we want to pick some values that are to the left, and some values to the left we can pick, let's pick -4 and -5. So if we substitute in -4, in the denominator we get -1, in the numerator we get -5, so that becomes +5. If we substitute in -5, we get -2 in the denominator and -6 in the numerator, so that gives us +3. So we can plot these points and get a pretty good graph of what it looks like. So -2, -3 is right here. 0, -1/3, so 0, and then 1/3 down there, and 1, 0 is right there. Next we have -4, +5, and -5, -3, which is right there, and then we can sketch our graph as we get close to the asymptote but don't actually cross. Next thing we have to do is we have to check our domain and range. And our domain are all the x values, which is everywhere except for -3. So we can go from -infinity to -3, union -3 to +infinity. And our range is defined everywhere except y equals 1. So that goes from negative infinity to 1, union 1 to positive infinity. We can take a look at what that graph looks like. Here we have our vertical asymptote at x equals -3, our horizontal asymptote at y equals +1, and then we have our hyperbola